before we get back into Oedipus, just a couple of background things, trying to remember what all these are. Sophocles' dates, because I don't remember that they're actually in the book. Born around 496, died 406 BC. So 90 years old when he died. Around the same time, alive around the same time as Socrates and Plato. Okay. Aristotle's just a little bit behind that. I've got two different orders of the plays. The first is the order in which they're written, or composed, and the second is the order in which the action of the plays occurs. Okay, so they're two different things. And these are all written for the festival at Dionysius. In Athens. Big religious festival. Went on for many, many, many years. One thing in this edition that I've used in a upper division class where I do all three of the plays, Penguin Classic, Sophocles, three Theban plays, mentions that the theater that these plays were performed at could hold somewhere between 14 and 18,000 people. Outdoor amphitheater, stone seating, it's huge, okay? And the acoustics, I've got a friend who's Greek, the acoustics at those places are amazing. Obviously, because there's no voice amplification. So you have someone standing on a stage like this, and someone at the back of the amphitheater 100 feet away, and the person on stage can essentially talk with the voice I'm using now, and it can be heard, okay, because of that. So, he writes Antigone around 442 BC, Oedipus the king after 430, and I don't remember what the indication is about what's important about the year 430, but we know it's after 430. And then Oedipus at Colonus, I guess these are probably production dates, when the plays are first produced. Because Oedipus at Colonus isn't produced until after his death. Okay? He wrote 120, Sophocles, wrote 123 plays, only 7 survive of those. Okay? So that's the composition order. The order in which the events of the plays occur is Oedipus the king, Oedipus at Colonus, Antigone. Right? We see here Oedipus being born, etc., etc. This is Oedipus's death, and Antigone, the play we're going to read next, assuming we have time, is after Oedipus's death. We find out she's at Thebes, okay? But we find out there, when the play opens, 2 of her brothers, she has several brothers, 2 of, would they also be your cousins? It's so weird. Anyways, 2 of her brothers have died in battle for Thebes. One defending, one attacking. Okay? So that's 14, 18,000 people. I mentioned this the other day, so I won't right now. Before we get back into the play, kind of keep a tally of themes/images that you see in the play, because there's going to be more than just those 3. But these are the three biggies, okay? Light versus dark, sight versus blindness, knowledge versus ignorance. Or seeing versus not seeing, kind of a thing. And the verses doesn't mean that, these things are battling each other. It's just, as an example, Oedipus is mentally, morally, spiritually blind. All right? Tiresias is physically blind. Tiresias is mentally, morally, spiritually perfect vision. Okay? Oedipus physically has perfect vision. So you have that sight versus blindness dynamic going on. We're going to see from the movement of the play, Oedipus is going to go from being physically having great sight to being physically blind. And he's going to go from being spiritually blind to having spiritually good vision, so to speak. Okay? So just kind of keep a track of that. I'll mention others as they come up. I think we left off around, or we're going to pick up around line 115. Okay? I'm going to be reading from this version, but I'll still I'll refer to line numbers. The translation will be a little bit different, but you can follow along with the line numbers that are in your book. We did get up to around there, correct? Okay, that's what I thought. So Creon has come in and has told everyone, because Oedipus did not say that, let's go in the back room. Creon has told everyone what Apollo commands: drive the corruption from the land, don't harbor it any longer, etc. Okay? He mentions the murder, and Oedipus, whose murder? Whose fate does Apollo, notice, bring to light? Now, whose fate does Apollo bring to light? That can refer to who was killed, and that Apollo is kind of bringing to everyone's attention. It could also be who's the murderer, that person's fate. But here specifically, surface level, it's Laius. So Creon says, our leader was once a man named Laius. I've heard about him. I never saw the man myself. What's that an example of? Dramatic irony. Yes, he has seen the man himself. Audience knows that. Oedipus is completely unaware. He's blind to that fact. He's ignorant of that fact. Okay? So Creon goes on and says, well, he was killed. And Apollo commands us to pay the killer back. Oedipus. Okay? Let me back up just a second. Creon says, quoting, apparently, the Oracle at Delphi, line 122. Pay the killers, plural, back. Whoever is responsible. Oedipus. Where on earth are they? Where to find it now, the trail of the ancient guilt so hard to trace? So, Creon says that the god says, pay the killers, more than one, back. Oedipus. Talk about your cold case. He says, how are we going to find the trail of the ancient guilt? Why is it an ancient guilt? What is Sophocles revealing to us? When was Laius murdered? 2 weeks ago? 2 years ago? Long time ago. Ancient, so to speak. Okay? I mentioned, he's got sons as well as daughters. 2 daughters, several sons. None of the sons are in Thebes. They've all left the town. Why? They have no future, essentially there. Dad's alive. Dad's calling the shots and such. They're all in their 20s. That's how long ago it was that Laius was murdered. Okay? So, Creon says the trail of the murderer, the guilt, is here. Whatever is sought for can be caught, Whatever is neglected slips away. Oedipus. But where? Okay? But where? But where what? Where is the trail? Where is the murderer? And then he says, but where, comma, in the palace, the fields, or foreign soil, comma. Don't look at the next line yet. Because the but where, he supplies an answer to. Where what? Where's the killer? I mean, the question before that was, find the killer. Where? And he suggests palace, fields, foreign soil. Okay, when he suggests palace, dramatic irony. But guess what? It could also be, if they're talking about the killer, the fields and the foreign soil. How so? What did they do, Oedipus' parents, with him when he was a baby? They sent him off to the mountain, to the fields. And then what happened to him? He was raised in foreign soil. So in one sense, the killer does come from the palace, the fields, foreign soil. But then Oedipus finishes his lines. But where? In the palace, the fields, or foreign soil? Where, or he concludes, extends his where question. Where did Laius meet his bloody death? He wasn't, by the time he gets to the end of that little speech, he wasn't getting at where the murder is. See, but I think when the audience hears those lines and they get to the palace, field, soil, they're probably thinking, oh man, Oedipus, you're just digging that hole deep. But then he finishes, where did Laius die? And they're like, oh, okay. No dramatic irony there. He went to consult an oracle. Apollo said, he set out and never came home. Really? No messenger? No. How'd you find out? I mean, if he set out, no one came home, how do you know? Grant says, no. They were all killed but one. So there was a messenger. There was someone who survived. He escaped, terrified. He could tell us nothing clearly, nothing of what he saw, just one thing. But he can't tell us anything clearly but just one thing? What's that? Why? One thing could be the clue that cracks the case open. He said, thieves. Thieves, plural, attacked them. A whole band. So that implies more than two. That's like 5 or 6. Not single-handed. Okay, now, what kind of language is that? Is that, maybe single-handed? It's emphatic. It's absolute. More than one person killed Laius. Crayon says the messenger related. Okay? He said thieves attacked them, a whole band, not single-handed, cut King Laius down. Look at Oedipus' response. A thief? Like, hello, Oedipus, clean your ears out. I just said thieves, a whole band, not one. A thief? So daring, so wild, he'd kill a king? Impossible. No. Unless conspirators paid him off in Thebes. In other words, a single thief with inside help. He's kind of suggesting this was an inside job. People in Thebes told the person where Laius would be, what time, what road, the whole 9 yards. But again, a thief with conspirators. That's not the same as a band. Crayon. Yeah, we kind of suspected that. But with Laius dead, no leader appeared to help us in our troubles. Trouble? What does he mean, to help us in our troubles? It wasn't Laius' death. It's another trouble that seems to happen simultaneously. Like Laius dies and the Sphinx rises up. Your king was murdered. Royal blood. What stopped you from tracking down the killer then and there? Now, what is Oedipus really getting at without stating it? What other troubles could you have? And put this in the United States perspective. President's murdered. Okay, some other bad stuff happens. President's murdered. You would still think, figure out who the murderer is. Okay? Oh, the troubles? The Sphinx. She persuaded us to let the mystery go. That's probably understatement. Persuaded us how? Answer my riddle or feed me somebody. Every day. No, I'll start again. I'll bring it all to light myself. So, whose fate does Apollo bring to light? He says, now I'll bring it to light myself. Forget the gods. We don't need no gods to bring this to light. Apollo's right, so are you, Creon, to turn our attention back to the murdered man. Now you have me to fight for you. You'll see. Why didn't they have him before? Because he wasn't there before. Stupid question, I know. I am the land's avenger by all rights. And Apollo's champion too. Why is he the land's avenger? Because he's a king. When we get to this play, we're going to hear a character say, and in fact, Oedipus might say it too. I'm thinking of character in here. I'm not thinking of Oedipus, but I think Oedipus says it too. I am the state. I am the law. There is no Thebes without me, okay? So, Oedipus is saying, I am the avenger of the land. It's my duty as king. But not to assist some distant, I'm not doing this, notice he says, to assist some distant kinsmen. Why? Because that would be different. That would be hearkening back to this old, what's called Indo-European mentality. He wasn't aware of Indo-Europeans. We are, okay? It's the group of people I think I mentioned here that gives rise to all the Slavic-speaking peoples, all the Greek-speaking peoples, all the Italic, Latin-speaking peoples, French, Portuguese, all that kind of stuff, all the Celtic, all the Germanic, all the languages of India. All those groups of people came from one small tribe somewhere in probably Turkey, where, either Turkey or southern Russia, about 7,000 BC, okay? But they all held to an idea, or they held a bunch of ideas. One of which is, if someone comes and attacks your family and hurts a member of your family, you go back and attack them. It's eye for eye, tooth for tooth mentality. Okay? A vengeance or to avenge. So he says, I'm going to avenge the land and Apollo, and I'm not doing it because this is some blood relative whose death I am avenging. Totally oblivious to the fact that it is a blood relative whose death he's avenging. It's not a distant kinsman, however. It's his father. For my own sake, I'll rid us of this corruption. Why does he say for my own sake? Next line. Because if somebody's willing to kill a king and isn't caught, that person is probably willing to try to kill a king again. Why, United States, trying to think of the others, why, when someone attempts to assassinate or assassinates a president and gets caught, why does that person, except one exception, why is that person never let back out of prison? Exactly, because he or she might do it again. The one exception is John Hinckley, guy who attempted to assassinate President Reagan in '81, was let out last year. It was thought, he's okay now. He's, no, of course, Reagan's been dead also for 20 years, so, Anyways, so, whoever killed the king may decide to kill me too. By avenging Laius, I defend myself. And there's probably snickering going on in the audience. So he goes out to the members of the chorus and says, up, 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 my children. Gets them up off the ground. Okay? He says, one of you summon the city before us. And the priest helps them all get up, and then we get the chorus's first speech. Okay? And when the chorus first enters, the chorus, when it gives its long speech, it walks slowly across the stage, and it'll get to the one other side of the stage, and then it'll stop, and it'll turn, and it'll walk back to the other side. When the chorus first enters and walks across the stage, that's called the strophe. And when it comes back, that's the antistrophe. Just, again, comes back, right? Purpose of the chorus is what? Your introduction in the book, I think, mentioned this somewhere. Page 1124. In the Parados, the chorus, lost my place. Parados, chorus's first interest, gives its perspective on what the audience has learned in the prologue. And then several episodes follow. So, what that's telling us is everything up to when the chorus first speaks, that's prologue. All right? That's the beginning word, so to speak, or first word, if you want. So now the oracle is delivering its parados. That's the second major section of a play. And what is it doing? It's providing commentary on what has been said, and it's kind of throwing some seeds for what is going to be said. All right? And what we get in this speech is the chorus praying to the gods, praying to Zeus, praying to Apollo, help us, guide us, direct us, help bring to light, the true nature of the murderer, blah, 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 blah. All right? We're suffering down here, we need your help. Oedipus comes out. He sees the chorus. He's heard the chorus. You pray to the gods? Let me grant your prayers. Now, how could that be interpreted? I am a god. No, you don't need to bother the gods. I can answer your prayers. Oedipus' first speech, whom all men call the great. Just little old me, Let me pause here for a moment. So I think I said the other day, what's one of the things that characterizes the gods and their attitude towards humanity? They get jealous, and they get jealous really easily, okay? So I'm going to back up for a moment, and I'm going to take you off on a journey to another Greek play. Agamemnon, written by, I didn't tell my first class. Remember how to spell his name. Aeschylus. I'm still drawing a blank on the first Greek dramatist. Can't remember his name. Then you get Aeschylus, then Sophocles, Euripides, about the same time as Sophocles. Those are the three biggies. Aeschylus, Sophocles, and the other guy's name is Euripides. Okay. Aeschylus writes a series of plays called the Oresteia. Okay? The first one is called Agamemnon. Anybody know who Agamemnon was? Leader of the Greek forces in the Trojan War. He was the commanding general. Everybody thinks, Achilles. Yeah, Achilles was, I shouldn't say what I want to say. Achilles was a spoiled little rich pretty boy. I mean, Brad Pitt, everything going for him. Mom's a goddess, all this kind of stuff. Who gets pissed off because somebody takes his girl and kills his boyfriend. Both of those are true, by the way. Okay? So, Agamemnon. Agamemnon's the leader of the Greek forces. Okay? his brother, Menelaus, you don't have to remember his name, his brother's wife, okay, Agamemnon's brother's wife, whose name was Helen, was kidnapped by Paris of Troy. That's the school book version. She wasn't kidnapped. She willingly went off with Paris. Okay? Greek literature kind of has other words to describe Helen. Whore is one, slut would be another, loose would be a third one. That's probably the nicest of those three. So, Menelaus gets angry, goes to his brother, who's king of pretty much all of Greece, kind of. And Agamemnon says, fine, we'll go to war against the Trojans, okay? They get their navy built up, they're getting ready to set sail, and there's no wind. Can't sail without a wind. And they have to wait. And finally, Agamemnon sends somebody to the oracle of Delphi, and the oracle says, you gotta sacrifice your daughter. And then you'll get the wind. No, there's gotta be another way. And they wait. He sacrifices his daughter. It's the title of another play. Iphigenia at Aulis, the place where she's sacrificed. His wife, whose name is, it's a K, Clytemnestra, gotta love these Greek names, she doesn't want him to sacrifice her daughter, but he does anyways. Winds come, they go off, they fight the Trojan War, takes 10 years, he comes back victorious, and before he arrives back, she receives word because they light these signal fires, okay? Meanwhile, back at home, in his palace at Argos, I think it's Argos, Clytemnestra is shacking up with his nephew. His nephew. Okay? Greek drama, Greek tragedy, Greek myth. This family is royally screwed. Agamemnon's family. Meaning, not only his personal family, his father and his grandfather did stuff make your mind. Okay? Having a feast, serving one guy's children to him in the feast, chopping them up and putting them in the stew and everything. So there's all kinds of, the gods just wreaking havoc down. Tantalus, from which we get the verb to tantalize, is like great-great-great-grandfather. Okay? Anyways, so Clytemnestra hears Agamemnon's on his way. She and her boyfriend, his nephew, this is all part of the family, problems, get ready for his appearance. He lands at the port, gets off the boat, gets on his chariot, rides to the palace, and she rolls out the red carpet. Literally, a red carpet, to go from where he will step off his chariot to the very entrance to the palace. Okay? And he stands there on his chariot and looks at it. It's like, I can't do that. Come on. You beat the Trojans. I mean, it's like going to Disney. What are you going to do next? Walk the red carpet. I can't. Why? Why is he so afraid to walk on the red carpet? Because only the gods are allowed to walk on red carpet when they take human form. It's like when you know the gods are coming, roll out the red carpet. Last night was the Grammys. What happened? I don't give a rat's for any award shows. Haven't watched them in at least 20 years. What does every award show have before it, though? You get the stupid paparazzi, the media, to show what? The stars, indicating their godlike divinity. The stars walking on the red carpet, showing us what's the hottest new fashion, the hottest style, who is with who, who's not with whatever. Why? Because they're not like us. The red carpet indicates that. Agamemnon does step on the red carpet, and it's, at that point, he's dead. Okay? And not only because of his wife's, plotting, but even if she weren't plotting, the gods would yank his chain. He walks into the house. He's not in the house 5 minutes before she and boyfriend, lover boy, are stabbing him in the back as he's getting into the bathtub. All that is to show what? You don't step on the toes of the gods. You don't act like a god. You don't presume to act like a god. You don't talk like a god. And Oedipus just said, you pray to the gods. Let me grant your prayer. Okay? Listen to me. Do what the plague demands. You'll find relief and lift your head from the depths. So he gives us a great example of dramatic irony. The whole speech just ripples with it. I will speak out now as a stranger to the story, a stranger to the crime. First part, partially true. Second part, not at all true. If I'd been present then, and the audience is, probably some of them laughing, there would have been no mystery. Duh. No long hunt without a clue in hand, so now counted a native Theban years after the murder. Why is he counted a native Theban?
Well, he is.
Well, literally he is, but that's not what he means. He doesn't say as a native Theban, but counted, that is, accounted as one. Because he's been king for so long. That's what he's getting at. So counted a native Theban years after the murder, to all of Thebes I make this proclamation. If anyone, now notice, the first thing he says, if any one of you knows who murdered Laius, the son of Labdacus, I order him to reveal the whole truth. Nothing to fear, even if he must denounce himself. That is, even if one of you is the murderer, don't worry about it. Let him speak up, escape the brunt of the charge. He will suffer no unbearable punishment, no cruel and unusual, it's almost like he has the 8th Amendment in mind. What else? Nothing worse than exile, totally unharmed. That is, we won't even do a little bit of torture. We'll just give you your bags and say, there's the city gates. Leave. Now, for the murder of the previous king, that's a pretty generous offer, right? Takers? Anybody? Somebody? Next. If anyone knows the murderer is a stranger, a man from alien soil, speak up. I'll pay you. No takers there? All right. But if you keep silent, if anyone panicking, trying to shield himself or friend or kin. So, if one of you is the murderer, or you know someone who is, even if that person is a friend of yours or a family member, and you reject my offer, now listen what's going to happen. I order you, every citizen of the state where I hold throne and power, banish this man wherever he may be. That is, never let this person in your home, never let this person in your place of business, never speak to this person, never have any kind of commerce at all with this individual. Never pray for this person. Never let this person pray with you. Never let the holy water touch his hands. Drive him out, each of you, from every home. Why? He is the plague. The heart of our corruption, as Apollo's oracle has just revealed to me. So I honor my obligation. I fight for the God and the murdered man. And the audience is going, Now my curse on them. So that's on those who know who the murderer is. For the murderer, whoever he is, a lone man unknown in his crime, or one among many. What did Crayon say? Thieves. That's what the messenger said. It's not a single person. Unless, of course, the messenger lied. Now my curse on the murderer. Whoever he is, a lone man unknown in his crime, or one among many, let that man drag out his life in agony. This is like, all right, gods, listen up. Here's what you're going to do. Step by painful step, I curse myself as well. If by any chance he proves to be an intimate of our house, pretty intimate, here at my hearth, with my full knowledge, may the curse I just called down on him strike me. And that's where the audience eyes probably get really, really big. Why? Because this is probably, I think, could be entirely wrong, one of the twists that Sophocles adds to the story. That nobody had heard it said like this before, and they're like, oh my God, is he in for it? Or oh my gods, I guess. So, here's your orders. Do this. But then he asks, 292, how could you leave the crime uncleansed so long? Why didn't you try to find out who did it? I mean, you should have searched. But I'm the king now. 295, I hold the throne that he held then. I possess his bed. And a wife who shares our seed. And he kind of rhapsodizes. It goes off into fantasy land for a moment. Why? Our seed might be the same. Children born of the same mother might have created blood bonds between us. In other words, if he had had children, his boys and girls might have played with my boys and girls. Ananias is going, it just doesn't compute, But fate swooped at his head and cut him short. Truer word was never spoken, right? You are fated to kill your father and sleep with your mother. And Oedipus tried to run an end run around fate and ran right into it. So I will fight for him as if he were my father. Stop at nothing. Search the world, etc., etc. Okay? So, the leader says, in the grip of your curse, my king, I'm not the murderer, so it's not me. Oh, and I don't know who the murderer is. I just want to get those things out and in the clear. But regarding searching for Laius' murder, Apollo pressed it on us. Apollo told us to do that. He should name the killer. Now, what is the leader of the chorus? In one sense, I think you could say, just demanded. Tell me, God. Come on, come down here right now. Tell me, or tell Oedipus, go to him. Tell him who did it. What's that essentially doing? Do humans command the gods? No. Do gods command the humans? Oh yeah, all the time. In Greek, drama and such. Oedipus, quite right. Kind of nice Britishism there. Go, oh boy. But to force the gods to act against their will, no man has the power. So what does that mean when he says quite right? You're right. He should tell us. What stance has Oedipus, and the leader of the chorus, by the way, just taken vis-a-vis Apollo? It kind of suggests we're morally superior. They're telling Apollo what is the moral thing to do. Red carpet. You don't dictate morality to the gods. No man has the power. Leader. Okay, well, let's do the next best thing then. Tiresias. Lord Tiresias sees with the eyes of Apollo. anyone searching for the truth, you could learn from him, learn from the prophet. Now, one thing to bear in mind about the term prophet. This applies to Greek tradition as it does to the Judeo-Christian tradition. In order to be a prophet, what can you never do? Anybody?
You can't lie.
You can't lie. True. Because if you lie, what's your prophecy going to be? Wrong. See, if you're a real prophet, you're never wrong. Ever. Ever. Okay? And bear in mind, prophet doesn't only mean foretelling, that is, telling the future. It also means forthtelling. Speaking truth to power, so to speak, or truth telling. So a prophet never lies, and a prophet never falsely predicts something. Okay? And here's the kicker. Sophocles does not invent the character of Tiresias. He's a mythological character. He shows up in Homer's Odyssey. He's down there in Hades with all the dead heroes when Odysseus is making his way back home, and he has to go into Hades to get information about what's going to confront him later on. And there's Tiresias, holding forth, telling everybody what's going to happen, even when he's dead, he's telling the future. He's held in extremely high esteem throughout Greek literature, except for in some of the comedies by Euripides, where he's portrayed as a moron because everybody knows prophecy is not true and there are no real gods and we're just stumbling our lives down here, according to this one Greek dramatist. So, Oedipus, 2 steps ahead of you. I've already sent for him. Okay? So, the leader mentions useless rumors. What rumors? Haven't heard about rumors. They say Elias was killed by travelers. I know, but no one can find the murderer. Why does he keep latching on a single killer? When everybody else says, with one exception, the first implication of Elias' killing, when everybody else says there were multiple murderers, I can't help but think that this is some subconscious thing on Oedipus' part. Okay? That way deep down, he knows. Not consciously at all. So, they keep talking, and Tiresias comes in. Listen to how Oedipus addresses Tiresias here, and literally in less than 5 minutes, his tune is going to change 180 degrees, to mix my metaphors. O Tiresias, master of all the mysteries of our life, all you teach and all you dare not tell, signs in the heavens, signs that walk the earth. Blind as you are, you can feel all the more what sickness haunts our city. You, my Lord, are the one shield, the one Savior we can find. Help us, We asked Apollo, maybe the messengers told you. He sent his answer back. Relief from the plague can only come from finding out. Uncover the murderers of Laius. Put them to death or drive them into exile. Did we actually hear that before? Don't think we did. Crayon says, drive the corruption from the land, don't harbor it any longer, past all cure, don't nurse it in your soil, root it out. What is it? Murder. Whose murder? Laius' murder. Pay the killers back, whoever is responsible. Pay the killers back. Okay? Oedipus says, What did the gods say? Uncover the murderers of Laius, put them to death. So he says, help us. Why? Because Apollo won't tell us clearly. Okay? One thing also to bear in mind, Greek tradition. In fact, this is a tradition in many of the religions of the world. What do the gods seemingly never do in their interactions with humanity? In telling us certain things or showing us certain things. They never make things crystal clear. They never just say, just do this, and this. Just do that. And you'll be fat, dumb, and happy all the days of your life. You won't have any problems. Okay? It's, no, sacrifice this bird, whatever, sprinkle the blood, and somehow, Tiresias, how terrible. To see the truth when the truth is only pain to him who sees. Crayon, what message from the gods? Good news. I tell you, even the hardest things to bear, if they should turn out well, all would be well. Explain. Tiresias, tell us, what's the answer? How terrible to see the truth when the truth is only pain to him who sees. He asks for clarity, he gets a riddle in both instances. I knew it well, but I put it from my mind, else I never would have come. What does he mean? How terrible to see the truth when the truth is only pain to him who sees? Jesus said, the truth will set you free. Sophocles is saying, the truth is going to what? Increase your pain. What? Why so grim? Just send me home. You bear your burdens, I'll bear mine. Better that way, just believe me. That's strange. Unlawfully. It's a strange response. How does he mean unlawful? What was Oedipus' first command to the people of Thebes? Tell me. If you know who did this, tell me. What else might it indicate? I'm drawing a blank. I don't remember if it comes up in here. Assume when we get to Antigone, I take that back, we will. There's a character in Antigone who says, I am the state. I am the law. Whatever I say is. Okay? I think that's kind of what's implied here. It's unlawful. Why? Because I don't like it. You withhold the word of God. I fail to see that your own words are so well timed. I'd rather not have the same thing said of me. Okay? Oedipus, man, your timing just sucks. And I don't want to have the same thing said of me. ... The very next thing said by Oedipus, I think, is a bit of an internal stage direction. That is, it's built into the dialogue where the quote-unquote director is telling us something that's occurring on the stage. The very next thing, for the love of God, don't turn away. Why? Because Tiresias has turned his back, and he's like, I better find my way out of here. Not if you know something, we beg you, all of us on our knees. More stage direction. Now, I think that definitely indicates Oedipus probably does something like this, all the chorus, and the people at the altar fall down. But, I mean, this is Oedipus. I don't literally think Oedipus gets down on his knees, because Oedipus doesn't get down on his knees to anybody. Okay? None of you knows. Okay, so he's already talked about blindness and sight, light versus dark, knowledge. I mean, Tiresias gets the whole kit and caboodle. None of you knows, and I will never reveal my own secrets. Period. Comma. Not to say your own. You can't force me to reveal my secrets. Or yours. What's he just kind of obliquely hinted at? I know something about you, Oedipus. You know, what is a beginning lawyer, a lawyer in training, my son's a lawyer. What's one of the first things they kind of learn? This happened, I don't know, a year or so ago. One of the trials related to the riots of 2020 in Wisconsin. Stupid, boneheaded move by a lawyer in actual trial. Never ask a question of one of your witnesses that you don't know the answer to. You always know what your witness is going to say. And this prosecutor went up and he asked somebody a question in the entire case. Just fell because the guy answered and the prosecutor wasn't ready for it. And the defense was like, thank you, Jesus, you know. So, you won't tell. You're bent on betraying us, right? Because if he keeps this kind of knowledge, what's going to keep happening in Thebes? Babies will continue being stillborn, animals dying, crops dying. I'd rather not cause pain for you or me. Notice he puts Oedipus first, O great and mighty king. So why this useless interrogation? You'll get nothing. Nothing? You scum of the earth. O master of all the mysteries of life, all you teach and all you dare not tell. Blah, blah, blah. You scum of the earth. That was a pretty fast change. You won't talk. Nothing moves you. Out with it. You criticize my temper. Unaware of the one you live with. You revile me. Now, if this were a student paper, obviously it's drama, so it's not. But I would write non sequitur. Anybody know what that means? Latin. It means it does not follow. Okay? Logically, what you just said has no bearing to what was said before. It's like you're arguing something. Oh, look, a squirrel. Okay. What's that it does not follow? You criticize my temper. Okay, so yeah, he's kind of done that. Unaware of the one you... What the hell does who he lives with have to do with this problem? And that should be Oedipus' question. Notice, you revile me. What word do we get from revile? Noun. Revulsion. What does it mean when you experience revulsion? It's stomach turning, turn your face away. Whatever it is you're looking at is so disgusting. Okay? And Tiresias is saying, you revile me? And you don't know who you live with? Who could restrain his anger hearing you? What outrage? You spurned the city? Again, the city's dying. What will come, will come. Fate. What's Tiresias mean? Whether I tell you or not, it's going to happen. And part of what is part of it's going to happen. You know, the other day I'd written right here, reversal recognition. It's going to happen. Oedipus, you, who can see so well with those pretty physical eyes of yours, you're blind or a bat. Do as you like. Build your anger to whatever pitch you please. Rage your worst. He goes, oh, I will. You helped hatch the plot. What evidence does Oedipus have for such an accusation? Zilch. What has he just done? He's jumped to a conclusion. Okay? It does not follow. There is nothing that supports that. You go, no, you didn't kill him. Why? Because you don't have eyes. It's not just that he's blind. The implication, actually, is that Tiresias was born without eyes. I mean, eye sockets, yes, but no eyes. Okay? All right, we'll stop there. We're going to pick up around 4:05 on Wednesday. Remember, there's a quiz due tomorrow night, and then the exam is due on Friday. I'll try to remember to send out reminders.